Hello all you YouTube users. Like I said, bit too warm to be in the kitchen today, so we come out in the garden to look at some boys and their toys. Here we are. Here's my full suspension mountain bike. As you see, it looks like a normal bike, but straight away you can probably see there a little gap in the frame. Now this is an e-bike, so it's electric. So what we can do is undo this little cap here and you'll see some terminals. And what you do is over here is the battery. Now if I can press this button down here, press and hold, and then release, you should see some lights come up. There you go. And that tells me the battery is about 3/4 charged. Now what we can do is pick this up and we slide the bottom of the battery into the bike, and just at the top it clips in. It's locked in so it won't come out. There's a key just there so no one can pinch it, and you can just unlock it when you're finished. Now what this enables you to do is you press this button at the top and it switches the bike on, and you have a little screen up here, and as you can see on the bottom left hand side there, it's in eco mode. Now this battery is only 80% charged up. You can just about see that up in the top right hand corner. The sun's on it, it's a bit tricky, and it's capable of around about 69 miles in that mode. Now we can flick the mode up from eco up to base mode, which gives you a little bit more power, but your range now has dropped to 52, and so on. You've got another mode and another one, sport mode, and then you can go right up to power mode, which you're going to use a lot more power. That's why the miles has dropped down to 29 miles. Now over here is the button what puts the modes up and down. It has lights, or the light on it is to light up your display at night, and this is your on and off button, so I'll just turn it off for now. It even says goodbye to you. And also there's another button just underneath, so if you're on the trails and you get stuck on a hill and you can't get pedaling again because it's so steep, you can get off, walk by the side of your bike and press the button, and it will help you walk up the hill with the bike. It just walk you up using the motor, because the bike's quite a lot heavier than a normal bike. So that's a 500 watt battery in there, and the motor is right down the bottom here. It's a giant Yamaha 500 watts, quite powerful. Also when you're out on the trails, this is a full suspension bike, so it's got the rock shocks here. You can put a pump on here and pump the air into your suspension, and set it on these dials exactly where you want it to be, and depending on what trails you're on and the bike bouncing up and down, you can set this marker at the top, little elastic band, set it at the top, and then when the rock shock goes up and down, it would obviously push the band down, and that will give you a reading on where your bike, or where the shock is bouncing up and down. If it's not bouncing up, you can adjust it, or if you're right down here and you're bottoming out, you can tighten it up a little bit, so that gives you an indication on how the middle shock is working. When you're on the trails, you want it quite soft and a lot of suspension there to take a lot of the shock out of the bike, which is going through your body. It can hurt, so you want it nice and bouncy. And like I said, there's this dial here, the red one. You can turn this left or right, and that will make it more softer or harder. When you get back out onto the hard sort of pavement and you don't want it bouncing at all, you can push this lever down, and that will make the shock solid. It's like a normal hardtail bike, so there's no suspension in there at all, and it's quite easy to cycle along. You don't want the bike bouncing up and down and losing some of the drive from your pedals while you're going along. Here's the pedals, normal standard pedals, got some spikes on there, so when your foot's on, you don't slide off. Coming round to the front of the bike, talking about suspension, you can undo this cap and you can put a RockShox pump in there and put the air in, and on this side you can adjust it a plus and minus. You just turn it either way, and you sort of set up the front shocks, which are also RockShox, really pretty much the same way as you do with the middle shock. We got some off-road tyres, which are quite cool. These are a little bit worn now, but I think I've probably got another, I don't know, 100 miles or so in there. If you ride them on concrete or on the path, they will wear out a bit quicker than if you're on the trails. They don't have inner tubes in there anymore in these ones. They have slime. You put slime in there, and you have these special valves, so you don't get punctures, or if you do get a nail, a stone, a twig, anything go through there, with the wheel going round, it should seal the hole, and you should be able to carry on the rest of your ride with not much problems. There are a couple of other little bits and pieces that you can carry in your camel pack when you're cycling, so if you do run into any problems, there's a couple of little hacks that you can do to get yourself out of trouble. Now, moving round to the other side of the bike, you can see here we don't have nuts and bolts anymore. We have these quick release, so you just pull this back, turn it round, pop the pin out, your wheel's straight out, no problem at all. So that's a lot better than carrying spanners and things like that on the trails with you. It's always good to carry tools around, but if you fall off, they can dig in and stuff like that. Now, on the gears, we have two levers on here. You have this one to go up and down, up your gears, and you use your other finger to go down your gears, so it's just up and down your gears. Obviously there's another lever at the front, which is a normal brake lever. Now, with the gearing, you've got on the front sprocket, you've just got one cog at the front there. We call that the crank, so that's a one cog, and at the rear of the bike you've got 11 cogs. So this bike, the gearing is actually a 111. There's lots of different combinations, so when you're buying sprockets, chains and things, you must always look on your description on what you're buying, because there's lots of different ones. You could have 3 cogs at the front, 8 on the back, or there's lots of different combinations. Right down here we have what you call the derailleur. So what the derailleur does is when you shift gears, this one will move from side to side, and as it moves side to side, the chain will also move side to side, which then moves the chain onto each cog. I have, like I said, I've got 11 on here, so the small one is quite small, you can only just see it in there, and the big one is quite big. This is quite a powerful bike. If you have it on power mode and you've got it on quite a low gear, it is basically like twisting a throttle on a motorbike in first gear, and it will throw you off the back, as some of my friends could tell you that it has happened to me. Now, also, we don't have brake blocks. Brake blocks were usually up here somewhere, which used to crimp onto your wheel while you're going along. But these bikes now have fluid in the brake cables, which are here, and we have discs, a bit like motorbike discs, and we have in here, if I can get the camera on there, there's some nice small pads in there, just with a little pin just there, so they're quite easy to change. You just crimp them together, pull it out, and then put your finger on there and there, squeeze it together, and out it a pop to replace them. So that's all good, and that's about it. That's a quick little run round of my bike. The other thing it's got a little lever on this side, a little bit like that gear shift, but it's got one lever on its own. And what that's for is you can set your seat to 2 different settings. Now at the moment that is on the small setting, the lowest setting rather, and so when I'm going down the trails, I can be standing up on my pedals and it's not hitting me in places you don't want that seat to hit, because when you're bouncing over rocks and logs and down little drops, it can be quite painful, so you want that down there out of the way. But then when you get onto the flat and you want to sit back down and you want a full extension from your seat to your pedal to get full power through your legs, what you want to do is get the seat and your pedal the full length of your leg. So instead of stopping, all you do is press this lever and the seat will pop up, look, on its own. So now it's just that little bit higher, so now I can sit on the seat, and that is the length of my leg. Obviously, if you want it back down, you stay sat on the seat, press the lever, and the weight of your body will push the seat back down. Now when I've finished on the trails and I've washed my bike down and I want to give it a bit of a clean, I use this little bit of kit. It's called bike protection. Great thing. All you do, spray it on. It's like a silicone spray, and just keeps your bike lubricated. Give it a little bit of a rub, and keeps it nice and shiny. And also, because it's silicone, when you go out the next time on your bike and it's a little bit muddy and the mud hits your bike, because you've got that silicone on there, it will just fly off. Doesn't do all the bike, but it does help. Anyway, don't forget, hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Bye for now.